In the Pacific skies, a relic of the Cold War still flies. The B-52 Stratofortress, older than its pilots, yet central to US power. A new radar promises sharper eyes, but delays and costs mount. China calls it the top nuclear threat, even as missiles shadow its runways. The question remains, can America's oldest bomber survive the wars of tomorrow? The United States is betting on a long-delayed radar overhaul to extend the life of its B-52 bomber fleet, even as questions mount over cost, delay, and survivability in a Pacific conflict with China. The US Air Force is preparing to begin long-postponed flight tests of the AN/APQ-188 radar system, according to a report by the War Zone. The upgrade, as per the report, is part of the B-52 radar modernisation program, which has faced years of schedule slips and cost overruns significant enough to trigger a Nunn-McCurdy breach, requiring congressional review. The radar, developed by Raytheon and derived from systems used in the Navy's FA-18 fighters, is central to the modernisation effort. Once integrated, the B-52H will be redesignated the B-52J, a transformation that also includes new Rolls-Royce engines, digital cockpits, reinforced pylons, and electronic warfare upgrades. The Air Force expects deployment of the new radar between 2028 and 2030, while full operational capability has been pushed into the 2030s. For US defense planners, the B-52 remains valuable not because of stealth, but because of volume. Equipped with cruise missiles, precision-guided weapons, and potentially hypersonic arms, the aircraft is expected to function as a standoff strike platform, delivering massed firepower from outside China's dense air defenses. Chinese analysts continue to treat the bomber as a serious threat. A recent study published in Modern Defense Technology ranked the B-52 as the most significant nuclear risk to China, citing its payload capacity and modernisation program. The assessment recommended stronger air defence, missile interception, and electronic warfare measures to blunt its effectiveness. Yet the bomber's future effectiveness may rest less on onboard upgrades than on the security of the bases it operates from. Analysts warn that US forward airfields in Guam and Japan are highly exposed to China's growing missile arsenal. Studies from the Stimson Center and the Hudson Institute note that China has invested in thousands of hardened shelters, while US aircraft in the Pacific often remain parked in the open. In response, Washington has expanded bomber rotations through Hawaii, Australia, and the Indian Ocean, while restoring disused World War II-era airfields across the Pacific. Whether the B-52 modernisation will deliver long-term strategic value depends on more than radar and engines. Its continued relevance hinges on the United States' ability to keep these aging aircraft survivable against China's expanding reach. A new threat assessment from a Chinese military research team has placed the US B-52 Stratofortress bomber at the top of its ranking of potential nuclear strike platforms. The findings, published in Modern Defense Technology and led by Wang Bingqi of the PLA Air Force Early Warning Academy in Wuhan, identified the 70-year-old aircraft as the most dangerous American platform across deployment, penetration, and strike phases. The study simulated a US Air Force penetrating counter-air operation, designed around advanced systems such as F-35A fighters, B-2 bombers, and drones in a coordinated strike network. Yet, researchers concluded that the B-52H, thanks to its ability to carry 4 B-6112 tactical nuclear bombs and its continuous upgrades, remains the platform of highest strategic value in such a campaign. The paper noted that the B-6112 bombs, each with the force of about 300 tons of TNT, were intended primarily as deterrents, but could also be used to disable China's anti-access and area denial systems if required. By carrying more nuclear payload than any other US aircraft, And by integrating advanced radar and electronic warfare functions, the B-52H emerged as the leading nuclear risk. These nuclear-armed platforms enhance lethality through blast waves, radiation penetration, and radioactive contamination, significantly amplifying their destructive power beyond conventional fragmentation and penetration effects. Researchers recommended China bolster air and missile defense along key routes to counter such an attack. They also highlighted a motion in the US Congress last year sought to restore nuclear weapon capabilities on roughly 30 B-52Hs, warning that this would further enhance the aircraft's role. Researchers, led by Wang Bingqi from the PLA Air Force Early Warning Academy in Wuhan, have identified the 70-year-old B-52 Stratofortress bomber, a Cold War relic, as the most significant threat across all stages of combat, including deployment, penetration, and strike. While the B-52 dominated the nuclear threat assessment, the study also evaluated other American assets. The F-35A and B-2 were identified as significant risks, with the researchers urging improvements in electronic warfare and cyber capabilities to interfere with their navigation and communications. By contrast, the C-17 transport aircraft and B-1B bomber were viewed as lower priority targets, reflecting their more limited roles or outdated systems. In a non-nuclear scenario, the E-3 Sentry airborne warning and control aircraft was ranked as a priority target, given its central role in US air operations. To refine their assessments, they combined input from PLA decision-making groups with data analysis, choosing to rely on game theory over artificial intelligence because of concerns about the opacity of AI-driven models. The paper cited technical details on US and Chinese systems, though the sourcing of such data was not disclosed. Among its claims was that stealth aircraft such as the B-2 and F-22 maintain radar cross-sections of around 0.1 square meters, which would make them detectable by Chinese radar at ranges of up to 400 kilometers. It also pointed to China's development of hypersonic air defense missiles, potentially capable of engaging targets more than 1,000 kilometers away. These findings come as the PLA accelerates missile development and electronic warfare capabilities in areas including Taiwan and the South China Sea. Writing last year, former US Under-Secretary of Defense James Anderson suggested that a future Taiwan crisis would almost certainly involve nuclear signaling from Beijing, despite China's declared no first-use policy.